everyone, my name is Linda and welcome back to my channel. On this channel, I am talking everything pregnancy as I'm currently carrying our first baby, as well as the journey of entrepreneurship and how to manage both of them at once. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my first ultrasound with this fresh little baby, because this ultrasound was absolutely terrible. It was unfortunately so traumatic, and a lot of the feelings that I felt then have really stuck with me even now as we approach, midway through this pregnancy. And I really wanted to talk about this, not to share some horror pregnancy story, because let's all be real, as someone who is carrying a baby, the last thing you want to hear is the horror stories. And I'm comfortable sharing this story now because I've gotten a resolution, there has been some training implemented, and the ultrasounds that have followed have been really, really positive. So if anything, I want to share this story to encourage you and empower you to advocate for yourself when it comes to really any medical procedure that you're going through. Now, before we jump into this, I am forewarning you. I cried so much after this experience. I've cried when I think about this experience. I cried writing up my computer notes for this video. So I can't promise that I'm not going to cry in sharing this video. So you've been forewarned. There may be some tears. All right, let's jump into the story of the first ultrasound with baby Castro. If we go back, I guess, to the day where Jason and I found out officially that we were pregnant, my doctor's clinic is actually located right in the same building as a really well-known ultrasound company in, I don't know if they're an Alberta company or a Canadian company, but they are very well known. They have tons of clinics in Edmonton. They are probably one of the highest recommended ultrasound clinics you could go to. So in terms of the name of the company, I'm going to choose to keep them private because I don't believe that this experience has anything to do with the company so much as just an inexperienced tech. So when Jason and I got my requisition to go and book my ultrasounds, he was like, let's just go see if there happens to be an opening today. Now there wasn't, but we went into the ultrasound center that was in the same building and we booked our initial, our NT scan, and then our anatomy scan. There's that clinic, and then there's a location literally across the street, and I interchange between the two, and I'll get into that. So come the day of our first appointment, the first thing that they tell you is that going into your ultrasounds, you need to have a very full bladder. But I drank all that water, we went to the clinic, and to be honest, the clinic is beautiful. It's pretty new, it's super well maintained, and we got in so fast, which if you've ever gone for an ultrasound while pregnant, you know that not having to sit in a waiting room to go pee is a blessing. So we got into our appointment, our little ultrasound room, and so the tech set up all her stuff and turns on, has her monitor turned on, and she starts to do the ultrasound. And I asked her, I said, are you able to put, can I see? And I've had to go for breast ultrasounds for lumps, and throughout all of those ultrasounds, the techs were great about it. They turned the screen a little bit, I could see what was happening, relevant or not, I don't really know what's on there, but it had never been an issue in the past. The tears. I wanted to experience that first moment of, oh my God, there's actually a baby in there. not only that, but the moment was so big for us because Jason and I were really, at that time, hoping for twins. And if it was gonna be twins, that seeing the little bean, but also seeing a second bean would have been such a big moment. Now, a singleton is not to be discredited as that moment you see the bean for the very first time. And unfortunately, she wouldn't turn the screen, or couldn't. I'm not going to judge their equipment. And she wouldn't turn on the big monitor. So thankfully, Jason was in the room in a spot where he could actually see the screen. God, the tears. And he was actually the one to let me know, oh my God, there's a baby. And it's only one. So obviously as she's doing this, she's asking, I said, when do I, the mother, get to see my baby? So she explained, she's like, there's just a few pictures that I need to get right off the bat. I need to show them to the doctor. And then once I get the thumbs up, then it'll be fine. I don't remember exactly what she said. So she got whatever she thought she could show to the doctor. She asked that I go half pee, which if you've ever gone half pee, just pee out a little, it's the strangest thing ever. When someone says go pee halfway, it's not like you can pee it all, put half back. You're kind of just guessing and you're like, I don't want to pee too much. And anyway, it's a crazy ordeal. I hope you just don't have to do it. But she sent me to half pee while she went and talked to the doctor. I got back into the room sooner than, she did. And I was talking to Jason. I'm like, I'm carrying the baby. When do I get to see it? Anyway, so she gets back. We then proceed to, get back into it, get a couple more pictures now that my bladder is presumably half empty. And again, I ask, when do I get to see my baby? And she mentions, well, the pictures that we originally got were not good enough. I need a few more. So at this point, I'm starting to worry that there's something wrong with the baby, because we see in all the movies or pictures or ideas of the monitor on the wall being turned on and getting to see the baby. So I'm internally low-key freaking out, assuming something is wrong. I'm asking to see the baby. Jason's asking, when does she get to see the baby? And she just says, don't worry, you're going to get an email with pictures and videos. The process of her having to go back and double check those second round of pictures with the doctor, and her asking me to go and fully empty my bladder at this point, because apparently my bladder is a lot bigger than it acts, because I always have to pee. And when I come back, she does a few more, proceeds to do a few more scans, and I stop her and I say, I'm carrying this child. I want to see my baby. She proceeded to say again that I would get videos and pictures sent to me via email, and I said, no, this is my first child. Why can't you turn on the monitor? So she did. And it was on for maybe a whole of 30 seconds, maybe a minute. I think I got to see very briefly that there was a baby. And that was it. That is the extent to which I got to see anything during probably the 30-minute ultrasound. The moment I got outside and we got to the car, I completely broke down. Like, I'm talking full-blown ugly crying. I think I was just so disappointed at how the experience went. The expectation versus reality just didn't come together. And honestly, I just felt really ripped off from an experience that is so, like, such a big deal and monumental in, like, having your first child. When I eventually calmed down enough for Jason to even consider, starting the car, he asked me, he said, well, did you at least get the pictures? So I opened my email, I got the pictures, and there was 2 pictures of the little bean. There was also a 1-second clip, like a little video, where you could see the bean and you could see the little heartbeat fluttering. And it was actually in the vehicle, in the parking lot, that I learned that the baby growing inside of me was actually viable with like a strong and active heartbeat. I am now hopefully through the hard part. So the clinic follows up on all their like appointment reminders through text message, and I received a text message asking to fill out a survey regarding the clinic. Now, most of the questions in the clinic were regarding things like the aesthetic of the waiting room and how long the wait was and were things clean, blah blah blah. But thankfully there was an area where I got to add a few other remarks, or a lot of remarks, because I put a lot in there. I took that survey as an opportunity to express what happened, to express how it left me feeling, and to share how much of an impact it actually had on me going through that appointment. The next day, I actually got a phone call from the manager of that clinic. She expressed like a genuine apology for the experience I had. She explained to me that the tech that did my appointment was indeed young and inexperienced in the field of, I guess, radiology, ultrasound. Not only that, but doesn't have kids of her own. And yes, she did explain to me that they do indeed need to get like certain pictures just to make sure everything is good. Sometimes turning on the monitor leads to more questions while they're trying to get what they need. She said, but there was no excuse to why she didn't turn the monitor on after that. They sat down and they explained to her that the first ultrasound is, for the family, a lot more than just a medical procedure. And they explained to her, how it can be done differently in the future. The tech felt really bad, which normally I would feel bad if someone felt bad, but I felt so bad that I'm just glad that she learned the lesson. And sometimes lessons are learned the hard way. So I did feel better knowing that at least while I missed the ball advocating for myself in the appointment, and I learned a lot about that, and I learned a lot about, if I could go back, where I would have stepped in sooner and said, I'm not willing to move forward if you're not willing to turn on that monitor, and really expressed more about just how important the experience meant to me. Maybe I felt like I shouldn't have had to. Maybe I felt like what you see in the movies isn't real life. What do I know? It's my first baby. But there were a few challenges that came from this experience. First was that I went into my second appointment extremely stressed out. Thankfully, my second appointment was across the street at the other clinic, so I felt at least reassured I was unlikely to get the same tech. But I also felt extremely disconnected from my pregnancy. The only real evidence in my head that I was actually pregnant, other than like the typical things like I was exhausted and, you know, I had technically seen baby pictures and I hadn't got my period and I peed on a lot of sticks, but there was so much disconnect of like, is this actually a picture of my baby? Because it could have been anybody's baby. Like, I only really got a glimpse on the monitor that there was something in there. Like, it created a very disconnected feeling. But I really want to touch on advocating for yourself going into, whether it be that you are pregnant, you just found out and you're going for your first ultrasounds, or you're coming to the point of further in your pregnancy where you get to set out your birth plan and you have to advocate for the type of birth and delivery and afterbirth experience that you want from your medical team. It's extremely important, and what you want should not be disregarded or discounted. We honor and respect the fact that we have a trusted medical team that is there to make sure that our pregnancy is happy and healthy and strong, but it needs to be in account for our well-being and our health and not just their convenience. So the second ultrasound, which would have been the NT scan, that scan there, before I even laid down on the table, I explained to the tech exactly what happened in my first appointment. I explained to her how it made me feel. I explained to her how I left feeling and the disappointment that I had in that first appointment. But I expressed that this appointment genuinely was a big deal because it was the first time that I actually felt like I was gonna get to see my baby. She was amazing. She took lots of pictures. You know, if baby was doing something cute, like I have pictures of baby basically sticking its legs right out, she kept it there so that we could see those little moments. And don't get me wrong, those ones are a lot cooler to see because the little bean is now starting to look a lot more like a baby. But she really went above and beyond. Unfortunately, even after an hour of getting up and peeing and dancing and wiggling around and, you know, doing what we could, we just couldn't get baby to sit still long enough or in the right position to be able to get the scans. So it was actually really fortunate that I got to go back a couple days later to redo the NT scans, where I still advocated for myself. I still explained what happened in the first ultrasound. I expressed how amazing the last tech for the second ultrasound was. And I really made sure that I opened my mouth and I voiced my concerns. And on top of that, I also really discussed how I felt with Jason, because sometimes if we're not able to advocate for ourselves in maybe a particular situation or environment, or, you know, our emotions get the best of us, I knew that I had Jason in my corner to advocate for me in the event that I wasn't being heard. So I did have a backup, someone who was in my corner and fighting for me through the experience. My follow-up NT scan was at the same second clinic. It was equally as wonderful. I got exponentially more baby pictures and more baby videos. And while I clearly still hold some strong emotions about the experience my first ultrasound, trust me, it's a whole lot better. Going into our anatomy scan, I'm not gonna lie, I am a little bit nervous just because it is back at the original clinic and there is a potential that I would get the same tech. So as I'm editing this, I just wanted to jump on for a really quick update. After filming this video, I realized how incredibly upset the situation still made me. So I had a conversation with Jason. We talked about how I was feeling. I made the decision to get in touch with my doctor, get a copy of basically my ultrasound requisition, and I was actually able to rebook my third ultrasound, the anatomy scan, at another clinic in Edmonton that actually specializes in women and pregnancy ultrasounds. The moment I did that, I felt just a million times better, a lot more at ease and in control of, the results that I was gonna get, and a lot of the anxiety about going back to that original clinic and the risk of having that same tech, they're just gone because I don't have to go back there. This other clinic is truly fantastic. Like I mentioned, they basically only deal with women in pregnancy ultrasounds. They also specialize in dealing with women who have had maybe poor experience with previous ultrasounds, or just creating an environment that supports the couple and the mom. And it really is just like a different experience, and I'm so excited to go there. But at the end of the day, I just hope that someone watching this can just learn from my experience, learn to really maybe do their research on what's expected and what their rights are, and voice up and being able to express, like, this is what I expect out of this appointment, and not to expect anything less. So just wanted to add that little update in there. So I really hope that this video was really empowering for you. I hope that it really expressed how important it is that you stand up for what you need during your appointments and your procedures and your medical visits throughout your pregnancy, or any other procedure that you're going for, to just advocate for what you need. And if it means that you have a backup person coming with you who knows your wishes so they can express them as well, then do so, because it is so, so important. If you've ever had an experience where you've had to advocate for your own personal health, go down below and share it in the comments. The more empowering stories that we can have and share as a community, then I believe the more people will read them and be inspired to speak up about the things that matter to them when it comes to their personal health. I'm so excited to have all of you joining me on this incredible adventure. I hope that you'll subscribe and follow along for more videos. But until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.